Hi there. It's me, Angel, here from Mastiff Home Buyer. I see, let me turn Nick on here. Hi there.
Hey, Angel. How are you doing?
Are you able
Are
to
you
hear
hearing
me?
me? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
You should be able to talk.
Okay. I'm not muted. I don't know why you can't hear me.
Let's see. My volume's up. Try turning your volume up.
I've got I can hear you just fine. Not.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's weird.
Hmm.
Let's see if I have a setting here. It's flashing like you're talking.
Right. Yeah.
So it's picking up some sound. It's just not coming through here like it should.
Oh no. Yeah,
So
I'm
let
not
me see if
sure.
it's here on my end.
Okay.
It could be this crazy phone here. My settings. Let's see. There, now try to talk.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Ah, great.
Sorry, it was on my end. So I have a cool tool that I don't know how to use very well. So it's called Camo. Is it Camo?
Okay. Never heard of that one.
It's called Camo, and it's an extra camera. And so you can set it up when you're doing videos, and you can set it up on your phone and use your back camera. So, your back camera on your iPhone's better for
Right.
videos. And so you can set up your back camera and you can manage it from your desktop or your
Oh,
laptop, either one. And so they
okay.
connect to each other. And so it's like a different video and audio choice. And so mine had automatically hooked up to my Camo.
Yeah, that's super cool. I'll have to
So
check that out.
yeah, it's fun to play with, but I'm still learning.
Right.
But today, we're just here on my laptop. So I appreciate you being here with me today and
Absolutely. Happy to do it.
sharing some things about home ownership and tips for people who are homeowners. So just a little introduction for folks. Maybe folks will come on and off because this is live. I like to keep it pretty light and not real scripted. So the conversation will go wherever it goes, and you can share whatever it is to share. And we will also provide your contact information for folks if they want to reach out to you. But I'm Angel with Mastiff Home Buyers, and you are.
I'm Nic Juncos with Rise Up Renovations. And so we basically do kitchen and bathroom remodeling. We also do basement remodeling, and we're all about, just quality. We do focus on innovation too, and just really good communication with clients. That's kind of my biggest thing is just coming from the background of remodeling. Anytime clients have to deal with contractors, the communication seems like one of those areas that is almost always lacking unless you really connect with a good company. And so that's that's a big one for me. So, but yeah, that's a little bit about us. I started my business just over 2 years ago,
Okay.
and was previously for another big contractor in Kansas City, Schlegel Design Remodel, which was an awesome company to work for. And they were actually kind of what motivated me to start my own thing. So that's where I'm at today.
Great. So what areas do you service primarily?
So right now we're focusing on the Lee's Summit area. Just to make it a little easier for me, I'm actually quite a bit south of Kansas City, down in Archie, Missouri. And so for me, the drive was long to get
Mhm.
into town, no matter what direction I chose. I mean, if I could service local customers and that sustain my business, then I would do that. But that kind of dries out after a little while, and you got to kind of search further out.
Right.
So for me, Lee's Summit was the perfect fit because I can get to some areas in about 35 minutes, and it's just a closer region to target, and it's a great area. I love Lee's Summit. So
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. I'd forgotten that you're down from that down south area, the Archie area. So,
yep.
um, yeah, we're in Belton, so I know that area well. And we have a mobile home park in Adrian. So,
Oh,
um,
cool.
that's where Jeremy is today. So we drive through Archie a lot.
Yeah.
Well, not a lot, but once a month or maybe so. And we're also working on a property in Rich Hill right now, so we're going
Oh,
even.
yeah. Yeah.
So so
Very
awesome.
cool.
So tell me a little bit about, as we want to talk about you and get to know you a little bit before we get into the tips. How did you really get started? You said you worked for another company before, and that kind of kick started you. But what really motivated you? What was your why in starting your own business and focusing in on this with homeowners?
Yep. Well, I mean, to be blunt, the reason why I started Rise Up Renovations was I actually got very interested in real estate investing around the time I was still with Schlegel,
Mhm.
and started listening to all these different real estate podcasts, and got really interested in that whole world. And for me at the time, I was kind of looking up, going, okay, at the time I was a lead carpenter for Schlegel,
Mhm.
and you could go another step up and become a project manager, I guess, and that was kind of something I was at least looking at, but didn't really think that it was the fit for me long term. So
Yeah.
I started thinking, well, how can I make more money so that I can invest in real estate? And that was really the thing that got me thinking, and really the motivation for real estate investing. Um, I would have never gotten that desire to start my own business without that. And so that's really what started me thinking along those lines. And looking back, it was quite the leap for me to go, okay, I'm gonna, I tell my wife I'm gonna start my own business, and we talked about it, and it was a big step, but that was the whole reason, was I wanted to start owning properties myself.
Yeah. Well, awesome. That's awesome. Um, so um, so let's talk about some of the things that you would recommend for homeowners. So we kind of presented this as tips for winterizing. We don't have to necessarily stick to that topic, but what are some things? Because I let me just kind of lead in with, as a real estate investor, which is what we do, we work a lot with homeowners who are in distressed situations, and they get there often from deferred maintenance, and over time graded. Not I'm not even meaning updated. Like wallpaper is, it might be dated, but it's still fine on the walls. It doesn't hurt anything. But there are certain things that you have to do to maintain your property shape, and those have to be done, annually, maybe quarterly, maybe even monthly. And for winter, we are all challenged in the winter. It gets cold, and there are all sorts of things that can go wrong in the home. So, what are some things that people can do to help winterize their home and prevent things from going wrong if they possibly can?
Yep, absolutely. The first thing that I would think about going into winter, and this is kind of just like the biggest bang for your buck, is making sure that your attic is insulated well enough. We get some really cold winters here in Kansas City, and we're kind of right in the two different zones where they come together. I believe it's zone 4 and 5. And what that just means is certain zones, they want you to have a higher R value on your insulation than others. So to get kind of the average for Kansas City area is right around an R49 would be ideal. And that just means that, if you're under insulated in your attic, you're losing a ton and spending, a lot more on your electric or gas bill during those heated seasons like we're in now. So yeah, I would look at your insulation, and there's a couple different ways you can do that with blown in insulation, putting extra bats up there, the kind that come on rolls. So, I mean, anything is better than nothing, but I would shoot for the R49 if you can at all, afford to do that. It would make the biggest impact. So, and that's the insulation. I go into some other things that I recommend here.
Okay.
You always want to, really important to check all your pipes. Those can be in areas under your house that are not insulated very well. Old copper pipes are going to, a lot of times you'll see that they will have some sort of insulation over them if they're in a crawl space or an area like that they're getting exposed to the weather. So that's a good idea, is to go under your house, maybe just take a look with the flashlight and see if, you've got exposed pipes, wrap them with the foam insulation. That's something you can do yourself. It's not a difficult job, other than sometimes it's very uncomfortable to get down into your crawl space if that's where they're at. But then another thing with your plumbing is just, make sure you turn off your or that you unhook your hoses from your exterior spigots. And, that's huge, because even though some of those faucets are frost free and they're supposed to prevent freezing, if your hose is still hooked up, it can pose an issue. So disconnect that. Better yet, if you have a way to shut the water off to that source, then I would definitely do that, and then drain all the water out of it. And that's going to give you one leg up on, preventing frozen pipes and stuff like that. So that's another important one.
Yeah.
As I go down here, I've also wanted to talk about just checking your heating system. I had an issue last winter where my furnace stopped working, and it was in the middle of, a very cold stretch. And so I had to figure out fast what was going wrong. And come to find out, a lot of people have the newer Nest thermostats, or, the newer ones that give you kind of more scheduling control. And a lot of times they're the ones that Evergy will give you for free or something like that. Yeah. So if you have one of the newer ones, they're really not compatible with the old thermostat wires. So a lot of the older ones are only 4 wires, and that's just how it's communicating back and forth to your furnace. And
Mhm.
so if ideally those should have, I believe it's at least 5. So, and I think 6 wire is another option. So you want to make sure you have the right wire system that's going to actually communicate, because what happened with mine is it worked for a while. It worked, you know, through the summer months and through the part of the winter months. And then for some reason, it started just not communicating with the furnace because it just didn't have the right setup there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
if if you can make sure, that you have that system set up correctly, might be a little difficult to find out. But if you run into a problem, maybe that's something to look at.
Yeah.
Um, and then also just replacing those filters. I mean, I recommend doing that every 2 months, but certainly every 2 to 3 months, once with the season, and just make sure those are always updated, and they're you know a
Yeah.
great way to just keep your system running efficiently.
Yeah.
So, and then another area I kind of looked at was the your windows, doors. There's always going to be gaps, or there can be gaps, especially on older homes. And
Mhm.
so, weather stripping is an easy thing. You can buy weather stripping and just add it yourself. If you see gaps around your doors and you feel, like a cold air draft coming through, that's just an easy, simple thing you can do to at least, prevent some of that heat loss during this time of
Right.
time of the year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that does make a huge difference. And
Yeah,
can help a whole lot with energy savings and and keep conserving the energy that you have in the home. So, but I wanted to, you talked about the Nest, and yes, we have a Nest, and that was one that was recommended by Evergy. And it's been a pain. We have not liked it. We keep considering it, like it messes up, and we're like, oh, we're gonna get a new one. And then it works again. And I'm like, oh, don't touch it. You know,
right.
don't mess with it. Don't touch it, because I'm afraid that it's going to like mess everything up, because we have solar panels, we have the Nest, we have a heat pump, so we're all electric.
Yep.
Um, and we have a 2-story house. So it's like when it's working, I'm like, just don't mess with it until it breaks again.
Yeah.
And then if we can't get it working, we're going to get a different one, because our HVAC guy said that those don't always work, especially with systems like we have.
Yeah.
They often just don't work well. And
Yeah.
of course, I had no idea. I'm like, well, it's Evergy's like telling me this is what I need. And he's
Mhm.
like, oh, just go get the old Honeywell one that you used to have.
Yeah.
Um, and the basic ones are probably better. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I had no idea.
Right.
And so yeah, that's something that I think people need to be aware of, is how much um, difference that thermostat can make. And it's not the newer Nest, fancy ones are not always better. You can get a cheaper one sometimes, and it may work better with your home depending on the age. Um,
Right.
but I was wondering, when you say older houses, what do you consider older? So like, I feel like, the 90s weren't that long ago, because, I was young, just out of high school, getting married, those kinds of things. But everybody's like, oh my gosh, the 90s were like forever ago. Uh,
Right.
and my house is a 1994. My old house was a 1984. And so when we get in those older houses, but we just rehabbed a house that was a 1950s house.
Yeah.
And so, what is, what's the age of houses that maybe they need a little bit more maintenance, do you think, than some of the newer ones?
I would kind of look at like, you get into the older windows when you're in even the 80s, 70s, 80s, a lot of wood windows. I think, you know, vinyl started getting more popular probably in the 90s, if I had to guess. So, I
Right.
mean, you may not have as much of an issue with those, um, at least if the windows have been updated to vinyl, that some care has been taken to, prevent drafts, and just having the updated windows is a huge savings in it of itself, just because of the way the
Right.
glass is, you know, sealed now, and it's not single pane like the older ones. So, the older ones, when I say 70s, 80s, or anything prior to that, those are the ones you're going to typically see storm windows added to. And that makes a huge difference, because the storm window is providing you that extra barrier, at the very least. So
Right.
that's where I, recommend, if you see some older windows that you have, and you don't have storm windows, that would be a huge benefit to add those.
Right.
So, um, the newer ones with vinyl, they're um, they're not an issue with that, because of the way they're built. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that makes sense. And you can definitely tell the difference, from the windows that were in my 1984 house, which were fine. Um, they had storm windows, and they were fine. But when we moved into this house and they have the newer vinyl windows, it makes a significant difference.
Right.
But the
Yeah.
other thing that makes a difference, I think, in winterizing, and tell me if I'm wrong, is, kind of the style of your house. Because what I need to do here, we have a two-story, and we moved from a ranch. And boy, did I have to learn, which I grew up in a two-story, but I didn't really even think about it. But when we moved here and we had our first winter, and it was like, oh my gosh, how do we heat the upstairs? And we had pipes freezing in the spare bathroom because, it was so cold up there. It was over the garage and it wasn't insulated, correctly. And so we had to go get blow in insulation and we had to do all of that. But, so for, people who live in different style houses, are there specific things that, they need to look out for when it comes to winterizing, or is it just the same?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably some extra considerations. A big thing I see is like on bay windows. Sometimes you'll
Mhm.
have those sticking out further than the rest of the framing of your house. So
Right.
insulation is important underneath that sort of softened area that's under there.
Right.
So, but yeah, there's, probably a lot of the same considerations, but you just want to make sure, like, where are your pipes running through your walls? If you're having issues with like pipes freezing up, then you want to kind of look at that area and see, are they running through an exterior wall? If so, that's probably not ideal, but you can take some extra precautions to insulate better, if you have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, but we also, I ran into an issue one time where, there was sort of what I was referring to with the bay windows, and it was on a second story, and just that window, I believe, was an area just, as part of their bathroom that was upstairs, and little, known to them, they actually had pipes that were running through that area, and it was totally uninsulated. So we had what can happen is, I mean, even if it's blocked off from everything, but if it's not insulated, if there's some little gap where air can penetrate, air is just going to always be affecting those pipes, and eventually can cause them to freeze. So that's an area that, you've got to get that resolved. You got to get insulation in there, move the pipes outside of like exterior walls if possible. If you are ever updating pipes and you update from copper to PEX, then you are given a lot better chance in those situations, because when your PEX, which is the newer kind of plastic, you see like red and blue, and but anyway, they're plastic pipes that are replacing the copper. The PEX is great because it can actually flex and absorb, some more of the freezing potential, and they can freeze and not burst. So you may actually have an issue where your pipes freeze with PEX, but they are not as likely to burst. They still can, but it can save you a little bit. So if you're ever updating any piping, I would always try to update it to PEX if possible.
Yeah.
And
yeah, for sure.
The other, those are all just probably considerations to look at in any house. But you never really know.
Right.
Even the style of house, like it could be that certain things were done. I had a house in Adrian, one town south of me, that was basically totally, I mean, this was the 1900s. So right at, I think it was 1930. So, but still around that era, they did not, it could have been just an old farm boy that threw the house together and, did things that, they saw nothing wrong with back then. But there's definitely, issues on those older houses.
A house that was a 1920s house in Ottawa, and it didn't have an inside water shut off from. We installed the water line, the main house, so you could actually shut off the water inside the house and not have to walk the water the street. So it's one of those things that I was like, there's not a surprise. So it happens for sure. And so yeah. So what,
and I've dealt with the same
that
things.
we are things that we need to think about, snow, anything that in the last couple of years we've had times where there's a ton of snow, and you have these piles of snow up on your roof or wherever, damage things. Are there things that we need to take care of related when we have bad snowstorms, or that we need to do to prepare our homes for that kind of weather?
Yeah, absolutely. I would always run through your entire roof and gutter, and just kind of give it a visual. You're gonna have to, if you don't have guards on your gutters, then leaves are just inevitably, unless you have no trees around you, but leaves are definitely going to get clogged in those gutters. They kind of build up along the valleys of your roof. And so those are things to check, because I would definitely recommend, having a maintenance man out to go through and clean all the debris before winter really hits. So leaves, sticks, that, all the different stuff that the trees drop, get all that out of your gutters.
Yeah.
And what that's going to do too is, like, when we do get snow and ice built up on the roofs, it's going to at least, allow the roof to shed, more of that type of thing off. So it doesn't kind of get stuck up there. And when it builds up and freezes, then you can have issues where water, you can have what's called an ice dam, which, water will freeze on the roof and then actually make its way back under the roof into your house. And that's something that can be prevented with the correct roof install. You have ice and weather barrier that's installed, on the ends and eaves of your roof and all that help preventing something like that. But again, just the simple cleaning your roof, cleaning your gutters before winter is a big thing. And that's also the time of year to look at your chimney if you have one. If you have a fireplace, make sure that you have the damper checked. You could have a lot of heat loss just through that area. A lot of older ones, people haven't maintained in years. And so that's just another thing, while you're on the roof or while you're having those things done, it's something else that I would recommend checking before winter hits.
Yeah. Well, and and I am probably the worst because I work with housing or real estate. I live with a handyman, and so he can do all that kind of handiwork. But I'm, some of the stuff that I say people need to do these things to maintain their homes, and I leaves. I have said handyman coming to clean out the leaf, the gutter, and we have house too. I'm like, why don't we call the handyman? And he's the handyman, so he's like, I'll get over there and I'll get it done. And so sometimes it is hard. So I don't like to be critical of people, but I also know the big difference. And when you do defer some of those things and you don't because you think it's too costly now, or have the time to get it done, or know how. I think the don't know how is, not really a good excuse, because you can probably figure it out. I mean, you can learn anything on YouTube, and now there's Chat GPT. You can learn how to do all of those things if you need to. But I know not everybody's, capable of doing it themselves. Not everybody can get up on a ladder and clean out theirs. I do understand that. And so I hope people have other resources, help that they can reach out to for those services if they need them, because it does make quite a bit of difference.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So what other things? Are there other things that you wanted to share about tips and tips
really
for winterizing?
Probably the last one I was
other tips?
Yeah, the last one I was thinking about was just having some sort of emergency kit for this time of year is definitely a good idea. So, it's that time of year. We may hit, a cold streak, and, we might have loss of electricity, and no one wants to go through that. We all hope that doesn't happen. But if it does, just having canned goods, snacks that aren't going to require refrigeration or electricity, like a microwave to heat it up, just things like that to have around. And always make sure you have bottled water or some sort of water source around, in case something happens like that and you just need it. Flashlights, have flashlights with extra batteries. First aid kit, just be on the safe side, have that around. And then, also remember, they even have, like, for your phones, if you do lose power, they have those battery packs that you could charge up one of those, and that can give your phone a source of power for a little while longer, if you're in a situation like that. So those are just some things I would recommend, and at least you'll be in a little better shape. So
you got to plan for that, because it's in Kansas and Missouri weather, that you're going to have at least one outage every single winter, maybe every summer too, because I always there's a storm or something that knocks the power out, and so it's always something that people should be thinking about, because it does happen. We've been lucky. I was a little upset to learn that when I got solar that I still wasn't going to have power when nobody else did, and everybody said, "Well, the grid, was down. You go down too." I was like, "Oh no! I thought I was still getting electricity." Yeah. But no, we don't. We go down with everybody else. We have a generator that we keep filled with some gasoline, and we put back deck and run the extension cord in, and can run multiple things if we need to. So that's a nice thing to have available. And because we're out south of Belton, and so when the weather's really bad and like you have all the city out, everybody's out, we're always last to get back on, because we're less of a priority for people who are down out here. So we have the generator so we can get by. And obviously refrigeration is an issue in the winter, but in the summer when you lose power, it certainly goes downhill fast when your refrigerator doesn't work. So but so I wanted to ask you beyond so you said that at the beginning that you do mostly kitchens and bathrooms. So if a person's looking to update or make their space more efficient, whatever it is, that's kind of what you do the most of. So how do people get for if they're looking, hey, I need a new kitchen, and what are some of the maybe new things that those of us who have 1994 kitchens may not know about, that are maybe fancy for today?
Yep. So, well, first of all, that is primarily our main business is with kitchen and bathroom remodeling, and we are certified, licensed, and insured. So we're able to go into any area that we need to, and basically pull permits as necessary, deal with plumbers and electricians, all of that we do legit with the proper permitting that's required. And so, when it comes to, kitchens, for instance, you asked, a lot of people are going for the newer quartz countertops. That's kind of taken the trend now over, granite that was popular for so long, although granite is still an awesome item as well. But yeah, the quartz countertops, the updated kitchen backsplash, updated faucet with sink, updated appliances, all of those things are things people are looking at when they're considering a kitchen remodel. And it's also a good opportunity to, check out your lighting. If you need to update, you could add some fancy under cabinet lighting that really helps out in the kitchen and just kind of make it a better overall, more functional setup. And that's kind of what we cater to is, we listen to our clients regarding their vision, what they would like to see happen, and then we bring in our expertise and can design the kitchen to their preferences and make sure that they've got kind of that dream kitchen when it's all said and done. And of course, same for the bathrooms. Same type of vision is followed, and there's just so much opportunity to update older homes and add something like heated floors. And we're actually running a promotion up till December 1st here for if you do a free or if you do a master bathroom remodel, we were doing free underfloor heating, which is a big expense to add that into the remodel, but it's something we are currently offering. And another thing that we've just recently gotten a partnership with a financing company called Upgrade, and we are now offering 0% financing with even no payments for 12 months as an option. And there is a little bit of an added expense on our end to offer those, but we're now offering that so that, if you don't have all the money right now and want to extend it over a period of time, we've got a few different finance options with them. So, but yeah, you can find us wherever. You just type in Rise Up Renovations into Google, and we've got our Facebook, our Instagram, LinkedIn. We're on all those socials. I mean, even YouTube and TikTok, we've got some stuff going on there. And then riseuprenovations.com is our website. And I've recently spent some time tweaking and updating things on there myself. So check us out there and just reach out to us by phone as well. Our number is 816-200-7741. And happy to help if you have any questions. And, if you're interested in a kitchen or a bathroom remodel, we'd be absolutely happy to help.
Yeah. So how long does one typical kitchen remodel take from start to finish?
So if we're doing like the whole deal where if they want like new cabinets, let's say we're going to a different layout, that type of project could take up to 8 weeks. So, there is some longer timelines on those bigger projects. But most on average is going to be about 4 to 5 weeks on a kitchen remodel. And for a bathroom remodel, we're looking at closer to like 3 to 4 weeks, just on average.
Yeah. Well, it's not bad, really. I don't think. But we had a fire in our house in Topeka, and I lived in a hotel for 6 months. So, 8 weeks is like nothing at all. Really, like it would definitely be a great investment for home. Because I really do think home. I tend to wait until I'm going to move out, and then I update my home, and I never get to enjoy it. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I would like to actually get my nice new kitchen or my nice new bathroom and actually be able to use it before I move out, I don't want to just get nice for other people anymore. But I've done that twice where I've,
Yeah.
renovated and moved out, and left my new renovations for someone else to enjoy and didn't really get to enjoy them myself. So,
Yeah.
but we will definitely be sharing your contact information and, putting it out there for folks. If we run into folks, services, we try to plug them in with, our business partners, folks that are in our network, and, help them get the services that they need. And hopefully, these live sessions and, what I'm sharing out on social media, and they'll be able to connect, with folks who are local. Because I love, that you work down in this area and that's your primary focus. And that would be great for folks that are here in my who need home renovations, because sometimes it's hard to find somebody that is technically local, to do that work. And I prefer that, and prefer to have somebody that, is local. So,
Yep.
not
Absolutely. And for
way, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine at the little delay, but no, I would say just, for if anyone is interested in just looking at like what a kitchen or bathroom remodel would cost, I do make an effort to do a kind of just a quick ballpark estimate, just based on other recent projects we've done.
Yeah.
And so, if you just want to have a conversation or just reach out on social media, I'd be happy to at least get a conversation going and try to help out.
Okay. All right. Well, your tips have been super helpful. Hopefully, folks are out running to get their insulation updated and their pipes wrapped, and their heaters changed out, the filters and all of that. And now going to be watching out for those Nest thermostats. So we appreciate you being here, and hope to be able to talk again in the future.
Awesome. Well, Angel, I really appreciate you having me on and allowing me the chance to explain what we do and how we can possibly help.
Yeah. All right. Well, you have a great rest of your day, and we will see you again soon.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Angel.
Bye.
Yep. See you.